What's up, guys? This is PelicanMan here, bringing you another recording of me playing a League of Sun and Moon. So this is what we're currently looking at is the same 75 I ran last week. The current thing we are testing is the Sunbaked Canyons over the rugged prairies, which last league didn't give us a great idea of. And something we also need to test. If you're interested in the deck, let's just watch last week's league. But something that was brought up to me is for the blue matchups, my answer is Chandra Awakened Infernal. And I've always said that in the Aurora meta, she hasn't been as impressive. So we're going to try something else in the anti-blue slot here. And this is what was suggested to me as an option is Grand Abolisher. Now, I've always been opposed to running creatures in the deck. Obviously, I have the Simian Spirit Guards, but they're more so for their effect than their creature body. There's Bone Crusher Giants, which kind of double up as removal and have the upside of being a creature if you need it to be. There's Hazard, who doesn't have the weakness of creatures, and Gideon, who is only a creature when you need him to be. But even in the sideboard, the only time I've ran creatures in here really was when I ran Goblin Rabble Masters as a faster win con, as a way to close out the game in like the Tron matchups and stuff. So assemble a hate piece and then use something like the Rabble Master to actually end the game. I've always been opposed to having creatures as kind of, especially sideboard hate pieces. My mentality with that is that, you know, we're running Anger of the Gods, we're running Wrath of God, we've got a lot of sweepers, and also part of what we're trying to do is we're not trying to lock our opponent in the game. We're trying to preemptively deal with our opponent's cards as often as possible. So Charles the Void deals with 1-drops, which are very common in Modern. Blood Moon deals with the mana bases and maybe gets a couple of cards stuck in their hand that they can't cast when you turn off their dual lands. And then sideboarding, Leyline of Sanctity, Stony Silence, Rest in Peace, Damping Sphere. These are all intending to slow our opponent down more so than stop them, and trying to make a few of their cards not have text. So something Sec gets to do just generally is turn off their creature removal. Obviously, Hazard and Gideon can still get Path. Bone Crusher is very weak to stuff like Lightning Bolt. But for the most part, our opponent's removal spells aren't good. And I think that when you're versing this kind of deck, you should be cutting as much of your removals as you can, because it's not actually the plan here. Like, I'm not planning on like playing a Hazard as soon as possible and beating him for 5 from turn 2 or anything. The plan is that we're going to stop what our opponent's doing with our hate pieces, and then this is just a way to confirm the kill and finish the game off. But people still do often leave a removal against us, and sometimes it's unavoidable. They just have too much removal and can't cut it all. So having creatures in the sideboard that turn their removal back on feels bad, and even if it goes to a game 3 and in game 2 they see that I brought in something like this Grand Abolisher, they could bring back in answers to it. So it's like this deck doesn't run any 1-drops or even 0-drops at all, because they don't want to. You don't want to be in a matchup where you want your Charles and where you want the 1-drops that you might have using sideboard or main deck or whatever. We're trying to optimize this, same as Blood Moon run your little planes, trying to make sure our mana base doesn't get stuck under our Blood Moon. So it's a similar thing with running as many sweeps as we do and having creatures in our sideboard. But with that said, we have kind of addressed that with Bone Crusher Giant, and there are kind of sequences where you can get around it. So I'm willing to admit I may be wrong on it and test out these Grand Abolishers and see how they go. They are definitely very interesting for the blue matchups. The only thing I'm thinking is that maybe our second basic Mountain isn't at its best here. But I really want to test the mana base as is. Like, this is a card that makes me honestly want the Rugged Prairies back in the deck. We'll leave it as is for now. If need be, we'll do another league and we'll test tweaking the mana base if this proves to be as good as it may be. With that said, this is the deck. I'll just shift this a little bit. This is the deck. And with that said, let's start match number 1. Alright, looks like we found our first opponent. Let's get match number 1 underway. Looks like we're going to be on the draw for this one. I think we just have to mulligan because of the 3 planes, unfortunately. I'm pretty okay with just keeping this. Hoping that stomping is good. Bottom the plains, I believe. If need be, we can get a second plains here. Okay, tap land from our opponent. We drew another Bone Crusher. Isn't the worst in this scenario, I don't think. Okay, Misty Rainforest. Very interesting. Just get a tap Sacred Foundry here. Oh. I think our opponent's probably a counterspell deck of some description, so I'm actually interested in just playing at the Temple here rather than holding up a Stomp. Because they're red, I think Needle Spires isn't at its best. But if they are a control deck, then it's still fine. I mean, next turn I'm probably not planning on playing a Bone Crusher anyway. I'm probably happy to just hold up Stomp yet again. Okay. It's going to be Coatl. Growth Spiral, sure. Ketria Tribe? Sure. So they are Teamer. Shocked in that Steam Vents. Very interesting opponent. They didn't play it like a Reclamation or anything, so... I wonder what they could be up to here. Maybe just a Foff? Archmage's Charm. Sure, I think I'm just going to stomp them here. Just to make sure they can't, like, counter my stomp. So just to get that little bit of value. They have shocked themselves a decent amount. So this way when I go to cast the Bone Crusher, I've already gotten the value out of the stomp rather than trying to just cast it out of my hand. Or casting the stomp and then countering it, and then I lose the value. They're just holding up mana again. I really don't want to play my Nahiri out into their open mana. So yeah, I'm just going to hold up Stomp again, I guess. Okay, they get an island. They're Snapcastering for Archmage's Charm. Sure. So I think I want to stomp this Snapcaster. I don't think there's any reason to hit them, even though they are somewhat low. It's interesting though, because if they go to 9, then these Bone Crushers are a bit more threatening. We've got our Needle Spires that can attack. They've drawn a lot of cards though. They shock in the Stomping Ground. This is going to be like, oh, Secure Tribe Elder? Very interesting. Chalice of the Void. So I think I'm just going to try and deploy that on 1 and then resolve a Bone Crusher. Because surely they have to do something about this. They probably have opts and bolts, and They let it go, so let's try casting a Bone Crusher. See if they have no counters or they just thought the chalice wasn't important. This could be like Cryptic counterbounce. This could be them having Petty Theft to bounce the chalice. They're sacking that straight away. That's kind of odd. I assume because they've got the Elder, they have something they want to do with that mana. Are they just going to Scape Shift? Okay. Yeah, we're probably dead. Let's just make them show us that they have enough mountains left. I'd assume they would, but... So this is an old school team escape shift, control-based escape shift. The good thing is, I think for future games I can worry less about counter magic. I kind of expected this to be a Wilderness Wreck deck, which means they should have a decent amount of counter magic. Okay, I'm happy to concede that. That's enough Valakut triggers. Okay, so Blood Moons are staying in because they're good. Rip, Stony. Leyline of Sanctity looks pretty good. Grand Abolisher looks good here. So we'll bring those in. Damping Sphere, I don't believe does much of anything. Wear Tear. Just because they... Let me think. Just because Deride of the Illusion Grove probably in their deck will bring in the Wear Tear. The Spyglass. I didn't see anything that makes me want the Spyglass. So that looks good. I'm pretty sure Anger's bad here. We've got 3 more cuts. I'm not liking Chalice a great deal. I'm happy to cut 2 of those. Maybe leave 2 in. They probably have Summoners Pact if they have Primeval Titan, so Chalice on 0 could be good. I don't think Cast Out's good as a card, but it cycles. Helix, Bone Crusher. Yeah. Oh. I can't imagine there's much I'm wanting to cast out here. Let's go with that and see how we go. Would like to play first, thank you. We've got the Blood Moon, so we're keeping. I kept the Wraths in because I am worried about Primeval Titan in the matchup. Okay, they keep their 7. We'll lead Temple. Bottom the land. We're looking for a bit more action here. We're looking for a way to close out the game post resolving our Blood Moon. Okay, so we're going to get a basic Plains here because we took out Angers and we have the Wrath in hand, so we do definitely want the double white. We've got a lot of draws that are red after we get this Blood Moon into play. I'm trying to think, there might actually be a reason to play at this Chalice on 0 this turn. Grand Abolish is pretty good. It's just unfortunate that they've got a blue mana already, so they get to hold it up. But I think if we can resolve the Grand Abolisher, then the rest of our spells are pretty safe. Plus, he starts putting a clock on. So if they have a hard counter here, it sucks. It's somewhat likely that Remand would be the card that they would have. I kind of want to put this Chalice on 1 now to stop Lightning Bolt on my Grand Abolisher specifically. So I just hope they don't have it right now and that I get to untap. Oh, Uro from our opponent. They did have the second basic. So seeing Uro, I probably need to bring in Rest in Peace for game 3. Although I am glad I left Wrath in. And they have the Bolt for my Grand Abolisher. Okay. We didn't draw a land. I still think Chalice on 1 is the plan. And then next turn, if we do nothing else, we'll just deploy another Blood Moon. Another Uro. Okay. Thankfully, it'll be hard for them to assemble the mana to escape Uro, plus they don't currently have the cards for it. Just the sheer number of lands they're getting into play and cards they're drawing off this Uro is a little scary. We need to find a win con and soon. Yeah, I'm just gonna play another Blood Moon. I don't actually know what 1-drops they have in their deck. This might be better on 0. Plus now they're at a point where they can actually hold up counter magic against us pretty effectively. Well, let's hope that they only have a remand at most. They have like Mana Leak, we're in trouble. Snapcaster for Lightning Bolt, I guess. But I've got my Chalice on 1. I don't know why they're casting the Snapcaster right now. So the question is whether I kill the Snapcaster or not. I don't think I do. I don't know how they're planning on threatening our Chandra. So we'll just deal 2 to the opponent. That's a bad time to find the Leyline of Sanctity. So the plan is that next turn we will Helix this Snapcaster. And so it can attack our Chandra for 2, she goes to 3. But it's better than her going to 1 from activating her neg-3 ability. Ooh, what do you got, opponent? A search for Morrow? Sure. You get to find a basic, so you got another island now. So yeah, we'll try and Helix this here. See if our opponent has a counterspell. If they do, we can Wrath. We can uptick Chandra for double red and play our land and play our Wrath. Which we're not going to need to. We'll still play out the land. Hopefully hit like a Gideon or something here. Something we can cast. Yeah, might as well. It's better than the damage off the Chandra. Okay. So Chandra is a little ways off ultimate, but we're feeling okay. It'll be an issue if our opponent gets a second forest anytime soon. Because then 3, 5, you escape 5, right? Yeah, they can get their Uro back, but we do have the Wrath. Here is a good draw. We're not going to discard this Wrath, obviously. See what Chandra wants to hit first. So Chalice on 3. We can't Chalice on 3. Chalice on 2 stops our opponent's counter magic. So let's try that. It turns off our helixes, but only our helixes. That's the other nice thing about the way the deck's constructed now. It technically stops Stomp as well, but not really. That resolves into our hand. That's pretty good. I'm not disappointed with that. Yeah, I suppose because I wasn't like flashback. I just know if you remand a flashback spell, it still goes to exile, but I like the way that worked. And a Hiri. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. That's 4. So we can't double spell anyway unless we Nahiri first. And discard our other Nahiri and draw a land. So let's look at our top card first. Helix, yeah, we'll just throw a Helix at our opponent. And then do I want to Chalice on 0? Probably not. Maybe I shouldn't have cast the Helix. Maybe I should have tried to cast the Chalice again. I was just interested in using it to try and tempt my opponent, because I did the maths with the Chandra uptaking for the double red. I thought, yeah, I can cast this Helix and then still try for a Chalice on 2. I don't know if this deck runs Primeval Titan. Let's assume it doesn't, and that I don't need to Chalice for 0 to stop Summoner's Pact. Okay, we're getting the turn back. That's a good draw. So now we get to double spell. So do we start with the Nahiri? It's almost... Chalice is almost a more important card to resolve here, but they know about the Chalice. Well, let's make sure that Mana Leak doesn't get us. Let's add double red and cast the Chalice. So this way they have to have exactly Remand. Okay, that resolves. So now we get to resolve Nahiri as well, because they shouldn't have Can Magic. They can have like Force of Negation is the only thing I can think of here. Okay, that seems good for us. We'll discard our Superfluous Nahiri. That's not bad. We can cast that next turn. Okay. Are they just passing back to us? Because I'll just straight up, as soon as I get priority. Yeah. Emblem. Attempts to discard the Wrath now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only cast like one spell. I can't cast the Stomp because it'll get countered, and then I won't be able to cast the Bone Crusher anyway. I suppose I can cast it just to cast 2 spells. Yeah, let's start with Leyline of Sanctity. Could even discard the Bone Crusher here. But there's nothing I can draw that's better to cast anyway. Let's just cast a Stomp that'll get countered by our Chalice, but it's fine. We'll pass to our opponent, and yeah, they're dead to Emrakul next turn, or any 2 mana spell, or another Chalice. They're potentially dead to a lot. Repeal Nahiri, sure. Well, that means they're not dead to Emrakul. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cast Nahiri, hit you for 5. Okay, we go down to Nahiri. Yes, we'll discard the land. Drew another Nahiri. Yep, so our opponent's got one more turn. Alright, and we collect game number 2. So for game number 3, I want the rest in pieces for sure. We didn't see Titan, we only saw Uro, so the Wraths are questionable. I think we have to leave them in because of Uro, because we have no other way to deal with Uro. Maybe I want the cast out back in for that same reason, to deal with Uro. The chalices potentially I don't need. We didn't see Dry the Ocean Grove, so we can cut that. Let's just cut the chalices as well. Let's go with this. The Wraths can stay in to deal with an Uro that resolves. Keeping these win conditions and these win conditions. The Blood Moons are good. The Simians are good to ramp out the Blood Moon. I mean, the Helixes aren't at their best, but whatever. I like Grand Abolisher. Yeah. Maybe the Chalices will find to protect the Abolisher from Bolt, but I think it's fine. I don't think there's a matchup where we need Grand Abolisher. See, I like this. The Leyline looks good here. We've got some wind conditions. Okay. Just pass to our opponent. Alright, Mystic Sanctuary tapped. That's kind of a good sign for us. It potentially means they don't have enough lands in their hand, or that they need to assemble double blue quickly. I wish I had a Simian to like speed out this Gideon right now while they have no counter magic. I can't imagine them tapping out for something that I can stomp, so I think I'm just going to get the value off the stomp here. I can't imagine my opponent playing out like a Snapcaster right now or anything. Like, they might play an Uro here, at which point Stomp doesn't do anything. See, this looks like it could be them contemplating hardcasting, playing an Uro. Maybe they're contemplating whether they have to get a basic forest here for Fear of Blood Moon. They do get a basic forest. This looks like an Uro. It is an Uro. Okay. So I could cast a Bone Crusher or a Gideon. Which is more important? Oh, I can play the Nahiri. That's what we do. What land do I get? I'm actually tempted to get the Sacred Foundry. I have 2 double white spells. I don't actually need double red, so let's go for the plains right now. Play Nahiri. I am going to discard my Bone Crusher Giant here. I have the Wrath, so I'm not excited about putting him to play. Yeah, and I really want to find something like the Rest in Peace here. Plus I've got this Bone Crusher Giant ready to go. Gideon feels like he'll be pretty important. So this Nahiri is kind of scary for them. They need to do something about her. But they're just going to pass back. Okay. I think at this point I'm happy to discard the Gideon. Well, what am I doing? I don't know that maybe I play at the Rest in Peace. Maybe I play the Bone Crusher to protect the Nahiri. I think I do want to play at the Bone Crusher. Or the Gideon to protect the Nahiri. The Bone Crusher protects it better. If I draw a land, I want to try and play the Chandra. Do I want two ways to interact with the Uro? They pass me with a bunch of mana open, so I kind of almost don't want to cast anything, but I kind of have to. Yes, I think I'll discard the Gideon. Okay, do the Sunbait Canyon, so let's try and play Chandra. They have what, Cryptic or something? Doesn't look like Cryptic actually. Oh yeah, untapping their greens. Cryptic, maybe bouncing Nahiri. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I don't know. There's much I could have done about that really. So if I draw a land, I'm gonna rip and Bone Crusher. If I don't, I'm just gonna try Nahiri. I mean, they didn't draw a card off the Cryptic, so it's kind of good for us. Yeah, let's start with a rip just to deal with the Uro preemptively, because we've dealt with the Valakut side, so now we need to deal with the Uro side. I think those are the two scariest things that my opponent stacks up to. Rip resolves, alright. Which tells me they might have a mana leak, but I'm just going to force them to do something here. Because if they do deal with this, then maybe my Nahiri gets to resolve next turn. Okay, maybe they have a Bolt. They've got 4 cards. They could have a lot of lands. This could be like... I don't know why they... Could they not have Snapcast a Cryptic there on like my Rest in Peace? It's weird playing that post-rip. Is this an Uro? I would love for this to be an Uro. Search for tomorrow, sure. Helix, huh? Let's not tap the Sunbait Canyon. Do you have counter magic now, opponent? Okay. I'm pretty happy to discard the Wrath now. I could get punished for it later, but the reason Wrath is in is for the Uro. Blood Moon's a good draw. We're not going to attack with Bone Crusher because we want them to have to deal with it to get to any hero. We don't want to give them free attacks with their Snapcaster. I care less about hitting them for 4 and I care more about Nahiri staying at high loyalty here. Nothing. Nothing from our opponent. How greedy am I? They didn't have counter magic last turn. Well, let me just tick this up. Say no. Just if they do the Cryptic thing again. I suppose it's because I wasn't discarding. There's no advantage to getting the loyalty because that's literally all I did there. So okay, Chandra resolves. The fact that my opponent appears to not have counter magic is real good for us. This Blood Moon resolving is going to be huge. They do have something. Why didn't they care about Chandra? Is this going to be Cryptic bounce on it? Maybe that's why. Maybe they have Scape Shift and they're going to go off next turn. Ooh. Well, There's nothing I can do if they do have the scape shift here. So please don't have an opponent. Maybe this is their only out. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they don't have the scape shift, but their out is drawing the scape shift. I think that's our best hope, because this line makes me think they're about to scape shift and kill us. This is a very quick tapping. They have the scape shift. Yep. You got an opponent. Well done. Alright, that's match number 1 done. We are currently 0-1. Match number 2 coming right up. Alright, we found an opponent. Here we go for match number 2. Lost the die roll again. I think on the play I would keep because of the chalice, but on the draw we won't. 5 lands is just too many. Yeah, we can keep this. So our plan is to turn 2 chalice into turn 3 moon. We don't have a second red, so I'm just going to bottom the anger. Is that right? If they're a creature matchup, I'd rather have the anger than the stomp. But if chalice is this is tough, honestly. Bone Crush is more flexible than anger, but anger is a more impactful card, so then I'd be keeping 3 impactful spells. I think I'm happy with that, even though we currently don't have the second red source. We ideally want to draw another land at some point. Okay, now the Blood Moon looks pretty terrible, and I would love to take that Bone Crusher back. But with that said, Chalice should be pretty good here. Anger should be pretty good here. Next time we Chalice the turn after we Anger, and if they prove to be not mono red, the Blood Moon should do a lot, because all their dual lands are all their basics are mountains. They don't actually have basics of their splash colors, to my knowledge, in any of these prowess lists. Another Soul Scar, sure. They may not have another 1-drop here. They do, okay, so they should. That means they could still have 1-drops left. They only have 2 cards left. Did they mulligan? They did mulligan. Okay. So we get to Chalice for 1, and then we get to Anger to kill their creatures, and then we should be in with a chance. This Blood Moon doesn't look awful, because it could potentially turn off the Sunbaked Canyon for what that's worth. Okay, so they get to cast a few spells here, but none of them will resolve. So this is purely prowess triggers here. They're not flashbacking the Lava Dart, okay. And I'll light up the stage. Okay, the Firebolt's uncastable, and we're going to make the light up the stage pretty bad here with this Anger. Now we just need to draw a way to win. Oh, no, that's good enough apparently. We don't need to show our opponent a way to actually end the game. Dampic Sphere is real good. So we saw the red-white land, so they could have Lurrus somewhere. I don't believe they revealed it as companion. Didn't say it anywhere in here, so I don't know that I actually want Rip. Stony shouldn't do anything. I don't know about Grand Abolisher. I want Leyline. I definitely want Leyline. Let's see what we want to cut first. So I'm happy to trim 2 Blood Moons at least. Potentially all 4 of them mono red. Let's just hedge, not hedge. Sorry. Let's assume and cut all the Blood Moons. Anger's good. Simon's good. All our spot removal's good. Bone Crusher's not at its best, but having a body's really good. Gideon's good. Cast out we don't have time for. Wrath's fine. All of our Wincons are good. Chalice is really good. So let's try this. With how we want to sideboard, there's no room for Grand Abolisher that I can see. So let's assume that we don't want him, because he's just not better than, you know, our spot removal, or, you know, being able to simulate a Chalice, or any of our sweepers, or even any of our Wincons. I don't think. All the other sideboard cards. We don't want to go down on lands, so yeah. Looks like pretty clean sideboarding to me. So they get to go on the play for game 2, which is a little rough for us. This is a matchup where our Horizon lands will be put to the test, so this will be interesting to see if we find a Horizon land and whether the damage we take for it is particularly painful. The ideal hand would involve Anger and Leyline. Sorry, and lands. We do need lands. This hand's good. We'll keep. We've taken out the Blood Moons, so we don't need planes. So we'll put that on the bottom. Reveal the Leyline. And then this will be a tap shock land. Turn 2 will try and find a window to stomp where they can't prowess. That's the only issue with Bone Crusher Giant, is the 2 damage from stomp only kills if they can't get a single prowess trigger. So if they're holding any mana up, this stomp becomes pretty bad. Simeon would have been nice there to turn 1 stomp, and I actually would have been more than happy to go for that. It's a nice looking curve though. Turn 2 stomp into turn 3 Gideon, it's turn 4 Nahiri. The only thing that could make this hand look better is a sweeper like Anchor of the Gods, or even Wrath of God would be okay here. Blister Coil, weird, okay. So that's a good stomp target. So if they want to protect it, they have to like Lava Dart, Soul Scar and themselves. Which I think I'm okay with. I think I just want to do this now. I don't particularly care about killing the Soul Scar just yet. I mean, these things are the same, right? This is just easier to kill. I don't want to like wait till their turn, see if they tap out, and if I can stomp this, I'm just happy to stomp this. Season Pyro, sure. So I think I versed this deck playing Quest, my Quest for the Holy Relic deck. They appear to be mono red and like able to mid range pretty well, not being all in on the aggro. So Damping Sphere is not necessarily amazing, but with that said, with what my opponent's doing, if they are similar to the deck I played with my Quest for the Holy Relic deck, then I also don't want Grand Abolisher. So I think here, Gideon uptick on Season Pyro makes them commit spells to their Soul Scar. But Gideon is a target for the spells. Well, that's it, so is Bone Crusher. Play a Damping Sphere, they can play at most 2 spells. This might be wrong. No, let's play the Gideon. Yeah. I don't know, this forces them to spend spells in the Soul Scar, like, even if they have a bolt, they'll bolt the Gideon, then attack with the Soul Scar, like, then a damage is wasted from the Soul Scar anyway. They could, like, Lava Dart. Okay, now I really want to draw a sweeper. Oh, Obosh. I think the deck I was thinking of also had Obosh. Attacking Gideon for 1, sure. So if I draw a land, it's probably Nahiri, Exile, Soul Scar. We did not draw a land, so we'll just play the Bone Crusher. We will prevent the damage from Soul Scar, because Bone Crusher can deal with the Season Pyro if they don't have a way to kill the Bone Crusher pre-combat and they decide to attack with the Pyro. And if they just attack with this, we get to hopefully draw land, play Nahiri, and down tick on the Soul Scar. Maybe they just attack because they've... Okay, so this is going to deal double. Right? Is it double? Yeah. That's fine. That means we trade. Like, we're trading... I mean, it's kind of half a card for half a card because of what Season Pyro does. I just skipped through combat, but I don't think it matters. I wasn't doing anything with combat anyway. Just passed our turn way too quickly there. We drew a Bone Crusher, so we definitely can't kill that. But we can kill a Soul Scar. So we'll prevent the damage from Obosh. And just stomp a Soul Scar. Would love to draw a 4th land anytime soon. Swift Spear, sure. So another Swift Spear, okay. And a Seasoned Pyro. Okay, and Anger is kind of what we need here. I would even take a Wrath, even though I can't cast it yet. Yep, no blockers. One of them hit me, okay. I kind of want to get this Damage Sphere into play, but I also kind of just want to get a Nahiri into play. Let's deal with Soul Scar here. I think this is correct, so we can tempt the Obosh into attacking. I'll prevent a Swift Spear just in case they drew spells. Like, we could potentially die if we don't. I mean, we could potentially die anyway. Let's see, our opponent's got 3 cards, potential 4th card here. Fireball the Gideon, sure. Oh, that deals double, yeah, that's kind of rude. Another Seasoned Pyromancer. Love that's going to finish off Nahiri. Whew. Okay, we need to draw Wrath of God now. Are we dead anyway? Yeah, okay, we're dead anyway. Obosh. What does Obosh mean for us? Not a lot, honestly. Means maybe I won't cast out, but if I'd gotten formatted there, I would have been... If I'd, like, got a format sooner, I would have been okay anyway. I think Hazard's really good. We know Damning Sphere is not at its best. But I think as far as being a 2-mana spell, it's a very good 2-mana spell. I could see trimming a Bone Crusher maybe. Chalice is really good. I just don't know if there's any card that's worth, like, even knowing about Obosh. I don't think Cast Out is a card we can afford to be running here. We get to go on the play for game 3. Would love to see Chalice. Leyline is good. Anger is good. This is a really good hand. I'm pretty happy with this. I would love, like, a tap land, but having Leyline and Anger, I don't think I can be too picky. I'd also love a Chalice. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy to play that turn 3 because I just want to stomp here while it looks like my opponent can't prowess it out of stomp range. Okay. Okay. Uh, do I want Simeon? So next turn I'm probably using Anger or Gideon. So I think I've got time to draw the fourth mana source for my Nahiri. These guys are roughly the same. I'm just going to Helix this because it's harder to stomp. So I'd rather this be the one that potentially be able to receive a prowess triggered to pump its toughness, right? If I top deck like another stomp or something. Swift Spear, okay, they've got creatures for days. Lava Dart, sure. They hold the Lava Dart, that's pretty clever. So I can Anger here and mop up these two goons, or I can play Gideon and force them to commit more to the board. I think I like that. So, I mean, they can potentially kill the Gideon here regardless, but I think with me fogging this creature, if they have another creature to play, they probably do it now. I think I just want to try and make them play as much of the board as possible so that I can untap and Anger. They're attacking me, so they have what? Bolt? Okay. Bolt the Gideon. I mean, they could still have creatures in hand here. That's a good draw. So that untaps. So yeah, I'm just gonna Anger here. They can. Well, they can't double Lava Dart actually. They only have one mountain. So that went well for us. Sunbaked Canyon. Okay. So I think I'm going to play it in here and discard the Simeon here. Play the Bone Crusher. I don't think I want to play the Bone Crusher. So let's see how painful this is for us. We've taken 1 damage so far. Keep note of it. Oh, we win the match. Our opponent can't deal with an Nahiri. Awesome. So we are currently at 1-1 going into match number 3. Looks like we found an opponent. We'll get match number 3 underway. Currently sitting at 1-1 with Sun and Moon. Okay, so we're on the draw yet again. This is a kind of nice hand. Got the Chalice, got the Blood Moon. Like, the Chalice is a bit slow, but I mean, we've also got some stomps we can cast. And looks like we are in a matchup where Blood Moon's going to be fantastic. Maybe the Chalice is less good. There's even a chance with them playing Field of the Dead that we want to Chalice on 0 to stop Summoner's Pact if we expect Primeval Titans. Golgari Rot Farm. That makes me think that they are almost definitely a Primeval Titan deck. So they haven't played out an Amulet yet. I'm just going to play the Chalice on 0. No, Chalice on 1 is still probably the play if they are Amulet Titan. Stops the Amulet, stops the Scouts, the Grazers, whatever else they may be playing. If we draw another one, we'll play it on 0 straight away. Explore? Sure. The fact that they had to play this Rot Farm, oof. Oof. So my opponent's essentially made 4 land drops here. They've got this that taps for 2 and this that taps for 2. But we are going to untap and Blood Moon them, which they potentially have actual no answers to game one, and it takes away two of their land drops because now these only tap for one, where previously they both tapped for two. So now they've got 3 red sources. Yeah. I was about to just play out a Bone Crusher, but then Gideon's obviously the better option there. They shouldn't be able to hit the Gideon, so there's no reason to uptick here. So I'm going to make an emblem just so that if they start finding lethal, they have to deal with this. So they could potentially be running the 4-mana Khan. That's a good draw. Just play that out to stop any Summoner's Pacts. Make Gideon a 4/4. Go to combat, get in. Opponent takes 4. Cast a Bone Crusher. And now opponent's on a 2-turn clock, because we can deal 8 per turn with these two. You can even play this Bone Crusher next turn to just make sure if they answer one thing, we're still got lethal. Okay. Get in. Play out another Bone Crusher. So just make sure, like, if they can answer one of these threats, then we've still got any two of these 3 is lethal, right? So they can like bolt the Gideon or something, was still good. But we got there, so that's game 1 in the bag. We do want Wear Tear because I assume they are Amulet Titans, so they probably have Amulets and Dry to the Elysian Grove. Spyglass potentially, Damping Sphere potentially. Like, it would look good there, but for the most part, Damping Sphere isn't actually good in the matchup. I don't believe I want Grand Abolisher. I don't believe I want Stony. If we saw the Khans, maybe, but if we saw the Khans, I think we'd want the Spyglass. Rip shouldn't do anything. So what's bad here? I like Wrath for dealing with Titans. Anger could potentially mop up some zombies and stuff, but I think I'd rather like anything other than zombies from Fields of the Dead. I'd rather like Azuses and stuff. I'd rather deal with Helixes and Bone Crushers. And if we need to mob up zombies, we ideally want a Blood Moon first, then probably like Wrath of God or something. So I assume Anger's a fine to cut. Blood Moon's good. Chalice is good. All of our win conditions are good. Simeons are good. So just bring in 2 more cards here. It's one of these two. Damping Sphere also stops them using Summoner's Pact into Primeval Titan as efficiently, but not by a lot. Whereas Spyglass, we didn't see Khan. If we saw Khan, I think it would be easier to just pick Spyglass. So Spyglass is stopping Teleria West, is stopping Handweir Battlements, stopping Slayer's Stronghold, stopping Sunhome Fortress of the Legion. But we don't know whether they're even running Sunhome and whether they're running Slayers or Handweir Battlements. Could stop Engineered Explosives to deal with our Chalices. It's tough because like Damping Sphere doesn't deal with the Velkit side of the deck. Like, we need Blood Moons for that. It's not like the Tron matchup where this is just dealing with their mana entirely. And I mean, they don't even have that many crew lands anymore. I think it's always between like 7 and 9. I think it's closer to 7 at the moment. I think a turn 1 Damping Sphere still has more upside. Stops their fastest combo hands. So maybe simulating it out on turn 1 lets us turn 3 a Blood Moon rather than dying. I don't know. I think we have to mulligan this. On the draw, turn 1 Chalice 1 doesn't do anything in the matchup. All these removal spells are kind of bad. The one land is super rough. We'll go to 4. Okay, we'll keep the 4. So what 4 are we keeping? I think enough of these cards suck that I actually want to keep the cast out. And here you can deal with Dryad. I'm pretty sure I don't want Chandra. I think I actually have to keep this 4. Turn 1 amulet. Okay. Maybe I should have probably played the Chalice out on 0 there. Since my opponent's already played out an amulet and they're going to play any other 1-drops they can this turn. If they like have more amulets, they're just going to deploy them all here. Okay. Okay. So they didn't do anything, so the Chalice on 0 is still the play here. No, I would not like to pay 2 life. Play the Chalice. This just stops them being able to summon this pack for a Primeval Titan, so they don't. So it's like they have 4 natural Primeval Titans. They have 4 Summoners Pacts, potentially less after board because they saw Chalice's game 1, and they have 2 to 3 Telario. So that's 4 Titans versus 5 to 7 Titans, and we've turned off the 5 to 7, so they have to find one of their natural Titans. Okay, there's no reason to not just play the Blood Moon here. They could have their Rex Age or Force of Vigor or whatever, but I don't think we're winning this game by not playing out our Blood Moon right now. Let's click Rex Age. Tiles Tracker, okay. So unless... yeah, I was going to say, unless they have Bounce Lane, but we have the Blood Moon. So we're going to get to stomp this, so they get 1 clue, and that should be it. It was a cool draw. So we'll stomp the tracker. And now we'll play out the Chalice on 1 to stop any further amulets or any grazers or scouts or whatever else. There was also the option to... that's not great for us. It's going to kind of negate our Blood Moon now. So this Valakut can now tap for any of the 5 colors, because this came down after the Blood Moon, and that's how that nonsense works. It still turns off all their lands' abilities, which is cool, and them having a second basic forest anyway makes me feel a little better about it. I would still love to draw a way to kill this. And that is not it. So we're going to cast the Bone Crusher so that their Dryad can't attack. And if we draw a Helix for another Bone Crusher, we get to double spell to kill the Dryad. The second basic forest is bad for us. They have tight mana currently, and they have the Rex Age. Not ideal. That comes after the Blood Moon, unsurprisingly. I mean, the Dryad can't attack, so that's good for us. They probably should have played that before the Rex Age, so that... oh no, they've got a Valakut online now. So we got another Dryad, sure, so they got another land drop, so we're going to take 3. So we need a top deck Blood Moon here, and even if we do, they've got a pretty good board. But if we draw a Blood Moon, we do get to turn all these off, because they've played out the Dryads already. So we need to like run around like Blood Moon into Wrath. Okay. Yeah, they've got a bounce on us. They get to deal 9 to us, so yeah, we're dead. Could bring in the ley lines to deal with Valakut. I don't hate that. Yeah, I don't like damage, so let's just take them out. Now we're on the play, so I kind of like Charles more because the turn 1 Charles 1's still good. But I think if we want the ley lines, that's probably where we have to cut. Or maybe like the cast out. Maybe that's it. Maybe like on the draw we want the cast out over the chalice to fix our draws, but I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's try it. Okay, we've got a ley line, we've got a blood moon. This is useless, but otherwise this hand's really good. We get to temple turn 1 to try and find a land, specifically a basic plains or a arid mesa. Also, we mulliganed to 4 last game. That is worth noting. We did mulligan super aggressively because we didn't see hands with the blood moon. Our opponent had the answer to blood moon, so well they drew it or whatever happened. Oh, that's definitely a bottom. Whereas here we got to keep 7. We could get punished and just never find our 3rd land, but okay, forest and amulet's not what we want to see. But that's pretty good. We will wear the amulet. And hope we draw a land. I'll actually take any land here. I don't care if I blood moon myself. Especially with them playing a Simic Growth Chamber here. Land? Not a land. The nice thing is if we draw a land, we get to play out our blood moon, and then we have a backup blood moon. Zeusa, sure. There's a good stomp target. So our opponent should play at all the lands that don't have ETBs right now. So that's obviously a good choice for them. As soon as I get priority though, I get to stomp their Zeusa. I'm assuming that means they have no more lands in hand. I don't know, because it looks like they were going to just pass the turn to us there. Can we get a land? Just one land. Any land. I'll take Nihiri getting stranded. I'll take not being able to cast my white spells. Just let me cast a Blood Moon. Don't have a land for the tracker. Just don't do it. I thought I asked pretty nicely. Land. Fuck off. Just give me a land. There's nothing I can do here. We are finally getting punished for gemstone caverns because we can't helix the tracker. They didn't crack clue? Oh, they're probably worried about me holding up Stomp, I guess. Dryad of the Elysian Grove, huh? Well, I've got a Wrath for that one day. We're gonna die to this Tyler's tracker. I don't have any blockers, game. Don't wait for my blockers that aren't there. Land. Okay, so now the question is, do I Blood Moon or do I Helix the Tireless Tracker? I think I Blood Moon because I kind of have to, like, draw planes into Wrath of God. Watch them have the Force Vigor. Okay, they're just drawing off a clue, sure. Come on, opponent, have the Force of Vigor. No? Okay. Maybe a Rex Sage then. Yeah, this track is going to be huge. We need to draw a basic planes very soon. I mean, yeah, they're attacking, so this Nahiri is going to be good actually. If we draw any land, we're pretty okay. We are on 8 though. It's not a land. You're a 6/5. So we have to play the Bone Crusher and Chump Block. We don't necessarily have to... No, they do have enough clues. We have to Chump Block. Which means if they're smart, they'll get in with the Dryad as well. We also just have to hope they don't have a freaking Titan here. Oh, they just have the Force of Vigor. They're just casting it because they're going to kill my Bone Crusher with Velvet Triggers. Alright. I mean, that matchup's normally favourable. We had a Multifor and then we had a 2-lander that didn't pan out. That was getting punished for running Gemstone Caverns finally. But I think it's been good for us more times. It's been bad. Like, that hand actually would have been really good on the draw as well because we would have had the Gemstone Caverns in play, so we would have gotten to do everything a little bit earlier. But it is what it is. We are currently 1 and 2. Join us shortly for match number 4. Alright, looks like we found an opponent. Let's get match number 4 underway. Lost the die roll yet again. I will keep despite it being a 1-lander. Because I'm hoping Moto knows that it owes us this one. There we go. After that last game, I think Moto should be generous and let us draw some lands this time, hopefully. I mean, we already drew a second planes. Okay. Force of negation from our opponent, exiling their opt and not casting anything, so I'm guessing opt was their only 1-drop. Well, Blood Moon's not looking good against Double Island, so let's try and play another Chalice here. That resolves. We got like Petty Theft? No. Flooded Strand and passing to us by the look of it. I will Temple. Bottom the Helix. Pass to our opponent. I don't think I want to Simian out a Blood Moon here. They're obviously holding up counter magic and the Blood Moon doesn't even look good. Maybe this Flood Strand gets something we can punish. Prairie Stream. Archmage Charm to draw 2. Basic Plains. Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. So we'll let the ability resolve. They'll assumedly get Batterskull. Show me Batterskull, opponent. Cool. Yeah. We will stomp the Stoneforge. Try and punish them for getting Batterskull. Cool. That worked. Now I'm pretty okay with Blood Mooning. Mostly just for something to do. I could play out the Bone Crusher, but I really want to wrap this Batterskull. I want them to tap out, or cast out the Batterskull actually. So they're probably just tapping out for the Batterskull right now. So ideally I draw a land and get to cast it out. Helix. That's not what we wanted, deck. I don't even want to cycle the cast out, but as soon as they get to untap, they get to hold up the mana to just bounce their Batterskull. Like, do I just play out Bone Crusher and try and trade for the Germ? I think that's what we have to do, because I don't want to cycle the cast out. I just want to hold onto this freaking cast out. I don't want to Wrath, because I didn't draw the land to do it this turn, which was the only turn to really do it. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So if I draw a land, I think I actually still do. I want to untap and Wrath now. Is that wrong? I mean, I can block and Helix next turn, but I'm worried about them having counter magic, so I think just keeping them off their Feast and Famine triggers is what I want. That is not the land we wanted. I mean, I kept to one land, so this is kind of my own fault. Can I beat this Batterskull? Show me a land. Well, we got there. We got the land, so let's just hope this Wrath resolves next turn. But then they just get to bounce their Batterskull and redeploy it, so I don't know... what we're hoping for here. It's a fairy. Okay, maybe he wants to take care of our Chalice of the Void and we get to Helix him. No, he's a smart fairy. Okay. They're also holding up double blue, so they could have counter magic here. They're gonna hold up all their freaking mana now. Yeah, probably should. No, I want a Helix now to try and force counter magic out of them. I shouldn't have yielded until end step. Now that just gets to... yeah. Oh dear. I don't know. Let's hope this works. Okay, it worked. Bouncy Batterskull. I think if we could have cast out the Batterskull while they were tapped out, we had a chance in this game. I don't think we have much of a chance anymore. So that doesn't do anything. So we can throw double removal spell here. I'm just happy to go to the next game. I don't think we can do anything about any of what's going on. So Stony looks good. Spyglass looks good. Wear Tear looks good. Grand Abolish looks good. So these are all the things we kind of want. I am pretty happy to cut all my Blood Moons. We've got, what, 3 more cuts? So it's probably just the Angers. I didn't see anything that I need to anger, and we'll just keep the Wraths in. Yep. So the Stonies are obviously good because they have equipment. Sometimes we wouldn't bring these Stonies in, but that side body just looks so clean. And normally these Spyglasses would just serve the role, like naming the Battle Skull, whatever. We actually want to be able to name their Planeswalkers with it, so we'll bring in both and let the Stonies take care of all the equipment at once. Also means we don't have to kind of blind name a Battle Skull hoping and then they just drop a Feast and Famine or whatever. Okay, we would like to play first. The Emrakul sucks, but I'm going to keep... And this is going to be a trial by fire for the Grand Abolisher. Because he should get to resolve... I don't know. Our opponent might have cut their paths. Because they saw Bone Crusher, so maybe not, but I'm not sure. We also don't know. They might actually be Jeskars, and they might not just be straight blue-white. So we are going to lead Grand Abolisher over the Chalice here, because next turn the Chalice is even better because it should be uncounterable. And also, if they have like exactly Force of Negation, they can't Force of Negation the Grand Abolisher. Okay, just do your thing, opponent. Okay, so they're opting. Feels like they're digging for an answer for this Grand Abolisher. Or maybe for a white land, maybe they already have a path. So this Chalice is going to get really good because the best thing they could have is path, right? Do I want to play out the Gideon is the question. I think we'll play out the Chalice. Just to try and protect this Grand Abolisher from path to exile. They could have Teferi next turn, but even if they do, I can just redeploy the Grand Abolisher and they shouldn't be able to deal with it. This Emrakul's not looking great in our hand, obviously, but I mean, they're a control deck, so if the game goes long enough, we can potentially hardcast it and win the game, which is cool. Are they gonna... Well, that's silly. So what am I getting? I'm getting basic mountain, I believe. Yeah, so we'll just stomp them there. Just to get some value out of our Bone Crusher. Okay, let's play Gideon. And I believe I just want to emblem with him. Get in with Grand Abolisher. So our opponent's on 13 now, so we don't quite have a 2-turn clock just with our creatures, but we do have the Helix, which we can cast during our turn and be uncounterable. We can also play a Bone Crusher. Okay, Cryptic Bounce Gideon. But I'm just gonna redeploy him. I don't understand. So we'd hit for. I mean, these are both 4 power things anyway, right? I think. There's no point getting another emblem. I think playing Gideon out is still the better option. Plays better around a sweeper. Sure, your planes can't deal any damage. Suck it. Get it for 2, drop them to 11. So we get to hold up Helix here. What have you got, opponent? I think Fairy Time Ravel is the scariest thing I can imagine, and that's not even... Ooh, timely reinforcements. So I can Helix my Abolisher here so they get no creatures, so they gain 6 to 17. Then no, I think I've got to let them have the little dooders. That's fine. Okay. I think we just want to make Gideon a 4/4. Let's see if they want to triple block the Abolisher. This could be a bad attack because they probably want to triple block it anyway. Like if they're double blocking, they might as well triple block. Cast the Bone Crusher. Do I want a Helix? I don't think I do. I think I just want to hold it up. So for what it's worth, we're only 9 mana sources away from Emrakul. That attack was potentially pretty bad. I think I'm just trying to close the game out a bit much. Okay. Because we were starting to get a pretty aggressive. So I think I'm still thinking too aggressively minded when that Grand Abolisher was potentially doing a lot of work for us. But that said, it did essentially let us counter the timely because they gained 6, we got to hit for 4, they made 3 creatures, we got to take out 2 of them. Let's make Gideon a man. I think I'm pretty happy to let them chump block one of my creatures here. They're going to path my Gideon. They're going to cryptic tap my team. Okay. Yeah, just because they're tapped out doesn't mean I want to play this Helix out just yet. The impetus is still on them to deal with this Bone Crusher and this Gideon, I think. Like, I don't think Helix and their soldiers that good. I think I actually want to be able to Helix them potentially. Fairy, I think, is fine. I can't see myself wanting to Helix here, so we'll just let that resolve. And we'll yield through the turn since now we can't do anything. I think Chalice, okay. Drew a Simian. I think I'm interested in Chalice on 2. So we'll try Helixing that to Fairy first. Because that potentially forces counter magic out of them. I think I'm pretty okay with using Chalice for 2 here. Even though we did bring in Stonies and Sorcerous Spyglasses. But I think turning off our opponent's counter magic is pretty important, since of their Stone Forges. So they probably have to counter this if they have a counter spell. They've chosen not to. Okay. Gideon will man up. Become a bloke. Go to combat. Hit you with the boys. Okay, they're fetching. Is this a path on the Gideon finally? Yeah, that's probably why they bounced my Chalice on 1. That's fine. It's another mana source closer to Emrakul. We are now only 8 mana sources away from Emrakul for what it's worth. So this Bone Crush is lethal over a couple of turns. That said, this stupid soldier, like, I don't know why they brought in Timely. I guess the Bone Crushers make it look like Timely should be good here. Ooh. That is spicy from our opponent. Are you attacking opponent? No, you're not. Okay. Yep. I didn't even think about these when I cast the Chalice onto it. Probably should have just been a Chalice on 1 still, but I wanted to try and use the mana as efficiently as possible. So here we're going to Wrath to deal with their soldier that's wearing a sword. And then the old favourite, a hardcast Simian. I mean, the Simian's a 3-turn clock. Kind of sucks that our hands got 2 essentially dead cards in it, and we actually have a lot of dead draws because of our own Chalice on 2. They've got another Timely Reinforcements. Yeah, they get to equip the sword. So we actually kind of want another Wrath here. We don't want the Chalice. Yeah, we're in a pretty rough spot now. That sword's going to be really annoying to deal with, because I imagine they're probably going to attack with the sworded soldier and then re-equip the sword to someone else. Of course, our Spyglass could deal with it, but we played our Chalice on 2. So that's probably just going to kill our Simian with the trigger. Yeah, it looks... I'm not blocking. I can't block. So we're only 7 mana sources away from playing our Emrakul. Yep. Okay, we'll try and stomp one of their boys. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. I should have just played the Bone Crusher. Well, that happened. Okay. So not only did our opponent keep paths in there, but they brought in Timely Reinforcements. Because I guess our deck looks aggressive. I mean, considering they're playing Blue-White Stoneblade, I guess I am kind of the aggressor. If it was Blue-White Control, I'm definitely the aggressor. Blue-White Stoneblade, though, it's more of a grey area. Okay, maybe I should have just kept the bloody Simian in hand for another Mana Source for Emrakul, because we're up to 9 now. We'd be at 10 with the Simian. Well, that colonnades us looking pretty dead pretty soon. Also, they've drawn enough cards that I think they probably have counter magic, even if we do happen to find, like, the Wrath that we need. Yep. Well done, opponent. So that's us sitting at 1 and 3 currently. 4 matches done. Let's see if we can crawl back into a 2-3 result in match number 5. Join us for that very shortly. Alright, looks like we found our final opponent for the league today. Lost the die roll yet again. Seems to be a bit of a pattern, not surprisingly, that when we win the die roll, we tend to win the match. When we lose the die roll, we tend to lose the match. I'm going to keep this based on the strength of Blood Moon. Oh, we're on the draw, though. But we've got Nahiri. 4 lands. Helix. It's close, which means on the draw we should probably just mulligan that. I can keep this. It's kind of the same hand, except instead of lands we got gas, and like this temple's a much better land. We don't have the Blood Moon, but we've still got removal. This is probably going to be a Thoughtseize. No? We're versing a Prowess deck yet again? Looks like we are. Okay. Start with our temple. I mean, this isn't the worst, and if we can get to 4 mana and start casting these Planeswalkers, I'm pretty happy with our position here. Yeah, not the best land, but a land nonetheless. Okay, another Bloodstained Mire. Fetching Steam Vents to the blue version. Okay. Lightning Bolt to our face. It's a cool looking Lightning Bolt too. And probably another Bolt effect at our face. A Lava Dart, okay. Well, that sucks. That means we can't stomp this Soulscar Mage. Unless my opponent like untaps and Manamorphoses. I think forcing them to spend this Lava Dart and losing a land is honestly worth. Oh. Okay. The Soulscar Mage just died. That's cool. I don't know if our opponent was F6 there or not, or whether, you know, if they were, whether they should have been. Okay, so this is going to be the, yeah, that guy. That's fine. Chandra's going to take him down in a couple of turns. Or next turn if we draw a Simian. Hint, hint deck. Okay. Well, probably... That's fine. It's the same as the Sunbait Canyon this turn around. I'm still taking a damage here. I was just about to get a Tap Sacred Fan, but I realised I want to cast this Bone Crusher. Cast. So the next turn... I'm assuming they're attacking with this. Next turn, I'm probably just down-ticking Nahiri to take it out. It's tough because I have 2 Chandras. I kind of want to burn the Chandra. Depends how much mana they leave up here. If they leave up mana to potentially prowess away from it. Just going to play another Stormwing Entity here. Okay. So in that case, I think I want to attack with Bone Crusher before doing anything else. I'm at 8. That's not great. But I mean, this Bone Crusher's not blocking anyway. Well, if I play out the Nahiri and I downtick on this, they're kind of forced to either bolt the Nahiri or attack it with this. Whereas the Chandra, they can just lava dart, I guess. See, if they attack me, then this Nahiri gets to trade for the second one. They're bolting me. So one more spell and I'm dead to this. Yep. Okay. So that didn't go great, but they are more the prowess style, so Damping Sphere seems good. Doesn't do anything. Ley lines are coming in. Actually grabbed a spyglass there, that can go away. Don't think I want Grand Abolisher, so Anger's good. Wrath's good. Cast out's probably too slow. Blood Moon I can keep some number of. Turns off their ability to cast their blue spells. Think I'm happy to cut one Chalice. And then I need to cut one more card if I want to bring in all this. Probably a Simeon, honestly. So we're on the play. So maybe it's actually the Gemstone. Let's try this. So if we win game 2 and go to game 3, then on the draw we'll cut the Simeon and bring the Gemstone back in. I think I like that. It's kind of interesting. Would love to play first. I'll keep based on the strength of Leyline. Plus, you know, we've got the Temple to start with, which is nice. Gideon's pretty good. We've got 2 Helixes, which is really good. Also, just really like starting on a Temple. I think it's good. We've already got Wrath and double Helix, so let's just do what we can to get closer to land. If they play a dude here, I am going to shock and Helix it. Sure. Yep, or I'll just draw a land that doesn't hurt me. But I mean, next turn I'm playing the Sacred Founder anyway to play the Gideon, so it's not really that different. They have nothing? It's a little scary. Huh. That's just very confusing. Yeah, you can't do any damage to team events. Take that. They're just gonna like throw burn spells at my Gideon now. This Leyline is probably doing a lot of work. That's probably what it is. Yeah, this feels very much like how Leyline's pulling a double shift here. This is probably a Lava Dart. Yep. Well, your Steam Vent still can't deal any damage to me. Suck it. We also have no action now, but it looks like our opponent has no action, so... Not Sprite Dragon. That's a good draw. So we're going to start by Helixing here. And then we're going to Simeon out the Chalice on one. The reason we're not doing it in the other order is if we Chalice and they can just cast bolts target themselves and it doesn't matter. Here, if they want to protect the door by casting a burn spell, they have to hit themselves or target it, which targeting it doesn't save it. So we'll play out the Chalice on one. So now we're looking real good. I wouldn't mind a Blood Moon to shut off their blue spells, but the thing I'm most... like, they can't cast any Ops or anything. Blood Moon will also turn off these, which would be nice. The thing I'm most scared of... I'm not sure what that Lava Dart's up to. Oh, it's casting this. Yeah, I was gonna say this is the thing I'm most scared of is this storming entity. So I've got Wrath of God for that. I can even potentially hold the Wrath and wait for like a second one. But I think I'm happy to 1-for-1 the Wrath with the storming. I don't have a land for it though. That's relevant. Okay, I'm just gonna hold up Bone Crusher Giant, I guess. Hold up the Stomp. There's no point playing it out because I assume there's like some number of bolts that could be stuck in our opponent's hand. They only had one card in hand, but now they were back to 3. Also, I don't want to play the Bone Crusher into my own Wrath, for what that's worth. I'm gonna stomp them here though, because it's not like I can draw a Helix and double spell this, or another stomp and double spell this guy. Land. Yeah. Let's play out a Bone Crusher and erase them. Again, this gives them targets for their bolts, but if they don't have bolts, then my clock's better than theirs. Who's this? Metamorphose, maybe? Yeah. I mean, they get Prowess Trigger, so their clock could end up better than ours, but that's not like a permanent clock, if that makes sense. It's only temporary. Alright, we'll take 4. We drew the land. Okay, let's get in for 4. See if they have like a bolt or something. They do not. Now I'm just going to Wrath. Wrath costs double white, so we'll need to tap a second white there. Okay. This is forcing our opponent to recommit to the board. We have a Bone Crusher that potentially next turn we can, if we draw a land, we can stomp and play out the Bone Crusher. I don't know that I want to Chalice on 2 here. So we brought in the Damping Spheres. Helixes and Stomps are all still like Helixes are especially relevant for dealing with this man's. So let's just cast the Giant. Because this is a 3-turn clock now and they don't have any action. Cool, straight back to us. Yeah, this Damping Sphere is pretty castable. Let's just go to combat. So this gives them 1 more attack. They can't deal with it because it'll deal 2 to them if they try and deal with it. You've got a response to my Damping Sphere opponent? Are you going to play 3 spells right now? Are you going to like... Okay. Tap tap concede, I guess. So that was game number 2. My opponent's showing me just how good that Chalice one was. Okay. For game number 3... I actually kind of want to bring this Chalice back in. Blood Moon, we could even cut all the copies of. Maybe we do and bring back in the Gemstone and we don't cut the Simian. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm interested in trying that. Our opponent gets to be on the play. I mean, that game just showed us how good the Chalice can potentially be, so I think it is worth having the 4 copies. I think I was wrong to only have 3 in that second game, even though it ended up being pretty okay. See, now this is looking pretty rough. But, I mean, Rugged Prairie would also look super rough here as my only land. But I do get to play a turn 1 Damping Sphere. So I'm going to keep, because also any land turns on these helixes, and having helixes while I've got a damage sphere in play is going to be super good, because their opponent's not going to be able to prowess away from the helixes. Also, we're on the draw, so a land would be good here. Yeah, there we go. We've got the Gideons, so I am inclined to get a plains here. Let's exile the Simian and play the Damping Sphere. Because next turn they play land and they have to have like exactly Lava Dart to get the Swift Spear away from Helix range. Which means they're doing it on my turn rather than on their turn, so I'm taking less damage anyway. Still gaining 3 off the Helix and they're losing a mountain, so overall that sounds pretty favourable to me. Did they keep a... No, they would like the Sage first in case they had to land here. Let's see if they did keep a 1-lander though. They do have the Fiery Islet. Okay. Gideon isn't really what I want to draw. So they didn't play the Soulscar Mage, so I'm going to Helix rather than Stomp. Okay, that happened. So they can Soulscar Mage. Looks like this Lardite Sage is going to get stuck in exile because they can't deal me any damage, and the Lardite Sage, even with reduction, costs 2. Like, even with Spectacle. Yep, we're just going to keep helixing your creature's opponent. Again, they have to Lava Dart and sack a mountain to flash back the Lava Dart. Which means we kill a land and we still gain 3 off the helix. Braid Damping Sphere, okay. That's fair enough, opponent. They have an opt. What is this? A Stormwing Entity. Thankfully we still have a helix left. We intelligently kept the 3 helix hand. Not that there were 3 helix in hand, we did draw the 3rd. I think we kept double helix hand though. Okay. I mean, the fact that we've cast 3 helixes as well is just huge. Like, we've gained 9 life. Sure, we've taken 3 off our Sunbait Canyon. Okay, just hard casting a Bone Crusher. It's good for us. Land? That's... I'll take that land, honestly. We will bottom that. Play out a Gideon. Prevent the damage this man's would deal. Interesting they have Bone Crushers in their board. The nice thing about this matchup as well is that while ley lines can be really good, they're not necessary. They're just kind of gravy. Okay. Lava Dart the Gideon. Do you have a bolt to follow that up, opponent? What was that? Another Lava Dart? A Gut Shot. And a Bedlam Reveler. Okay, so our opponent's got a lot of creatures in their deck post board. I'm assuming they had some number of them pre-board as well, but they're flashing back Lava Dart to finish off Gideon. But now they've only got 2 cards in hand and there's Reveler. Ooh. If we can draw a land, we're in pretty good stead here. I kind of want to play out the Bone Crusher to threaten to trade with their Bone Crusher. But if I play the Gideon and fog the Bone Crusher, it forces them to play a spell to make their Reveler lethal on the Gideon. Which means if we draw a land next turn, we can down tick on this Reveler, because I want to kill this Reveler over this Bone Crusher. Our opponent's shocked in a land. They have to kill Gideon here. Are they just hitting him to 1? No. What are they abrading? Oh, they just dealt 3 to their Reveler. Sure, now Stormwing Entity? Are you kidding me, opponent? Whew. I need to draw a Wrath as soon as possible. I mean, Anger would also be fine. Okay. I am going to Nahiri the Reveler. It buys us a bit of time. Because also with me still being at 20, I think they have to send one of these creatures at Nahiri. Unless they have a burn spell. They've got 1 card in hand. Stomp. Sure. So I take 8 down to 12. Temple of Triumph. Let's see if we can find a Wrath or an Anger. No, we don't want that. Let's play out our Bone Crusher Giant to force them to deal with it, or we get to trade with their Bone Crusher. We also managed to avoid taking damage off our Sunbait Canyon this turn. Very nice. I think we've taken like 5 damage from it now, potentially 6. Yeah, buddy. We trading. I'm happy to trade here, buddy. Play the Bone Crusher. Oof. Post-combat Swift Spear, huh? Okay, so they've still got a Bone Crusher waiting in the wings, but this Wrath came at the right time. Just yield through the turn. Surely they're playing the Bone Crusher here. Yep. We are on 9, so that's 3 turn clock, but realistically they'll... So I've got options here. I can play Nahiri and tick her up, but it doesn't dig me anywhere because I have no cards in hand. I can crack Sunbait Canyon. I actually like cracking Sunbait Canyon because worst case they hit me for 4 and then I play Nahiri and down tick and get rid of the Bone Crusher anyway. But I could draw like... I was going to say I could draw Helix or something, but... Okay. So we're on 9, so if we hadn't cast the Helixes, we'd be dead. If we had Rugged Prairie over our stupid Sunbait Canyon, if we had Rugged Prairie over that, we would be at 14-ish. Basically, we would not fear death, where currently we fear death. That is the important distinction, is that we are very worried about just getting donked here. Is it better to Chandra? I don't see any gut shots. But Nahiri's probably winning us the game quicker. The question is which one of these I want to play to get rid of the Bone Crusher. I think it's the Nahiri. It's close, right? Because whatever we play second's more likely to be able to go up to their ultimate and win because the one we play first is down ticking. The reason that I'm going to play Nahiri is purely because any creature they play from now, it's much easier for Chandra to kill because they have to be tapped for Nahiri to kill. Okay. Sure. Because this is tapped Nahiri can kill it much easier. So if they play like one of those birds, the Stormwing Entity, the Chandra can kill it much easier than Nahiri. Like Nahiri can kill regardless of kind of what their toughness is, but Chandra can kill regardless of whether they're tapped or not, which, except for Swift Spear, they're all going to be untapped when I cast the second Planeswalker, like any creature they can cast. That's coming at me? Do you have a second burn spell? Am I dead? They got us. So that was a game where we definitely got punished for Sunbait Canyon. Uh, I mean, we went 1-4 overall, so it's not like any of our other matchups went any better. Join us shortly. We'll be talking about how that all went in the post-league wrap-up. Alright, so not a great league. We've been going 4-1 the last few times. This one less good at 1-4. Few things. So our first match was against Team Escape Shift. I think we did pretty alright. We could have brought in Rest in Peace for Game 2 to deal with Uro, but from memory, Game 2 was the one we won anyway. I don't know. Maybe we went 2-0. I don't know. We had a pretty rough league. We managed to beat Mono Red Prowess in round 2, which was our only win. Then we lost to Amulet Titan, which is a favourable matchup. We just, I think, got a bit unlucky. Like, my opponent just kind of always had the sideboard cards. We didn't have enough of our hate, and we didn't follow it up with win conditions fast enough. Azorius Stoneblade also shouldn't be that bad of a matchup. I think the biggest thing was, well, there were two things really. I played a Chalson 2, and immediately afterwards remembered that I'd brought in my Spyglasses, and Stony Silencers deal with their Stoneblade side of their deck, and they're important enough that I prioritized Chalson 1 in the matchup over 2 because I don't care as much about their counter magic, and I care more about my prison pieces that I brought in, which is something that you should always remember with this, because so many of the sideboard prison pieces like Rest in Peace, Stony, Damping Sphere, Sorcerer Spyglass are 2-drops. If you're bringing them in, you should not be playing Chalson 2. And same with this league with Grand Abolsher. For the control matchups, even though you want Chalson 2 to stop their counter magic, it's probably better to Chalson 1 to stop their cantrips and their path if they've left them in or brought them in or whatever, especially because we've got this guy currently. And yeah, the Chalson 2 means we can't cast this guy, and he's pretty important in the matchup. And then match 5 was against Is It Prowess, where I think we actually weren't looking too bad. The biggest issue we had was our Sunbait Canyon. We kept our one land with Sunbait Canyon as the only land, but we were relying on the strength of Damping Sphere, and we ended up playing 3 Helixes very quickly at the start of the game. So I know there was a point near the end where I was at 9, so if I'd cast 0 Helixes, I would have been dead. If they were all like, lightning strikes instead of Helixes, we'd definitely be dead. But if we'd taken, I want to say like 6 damage, it was at least 5 damage off Sunbait Canyon at that point in the game. So we should have actually been at 14, which, we ended up getting burnt out by exactly Lightning Bolt into Lava Dart and Flashback, because we were on 5, and that dealt exactly 5. So with the extra 4 life cushion, like, we're actually coming back in. We played in Ahiri. Next time we were going to play Chandra, and we'd come back in the game. Like, we were low enough. We would have been low enough in without the canyons that we kind of need to find a Helix or a ley line to not die to burn spells. But I mean, our Planeswalkers were also going to be very threatening very quickly, so my opponent might have needed to shift gears and start attacking them with the burn spells. I'm not sure. So the other thing in the control matchup was that they brought in timely reinforcements against me, which is weird from my perspective, but from their perspective, they saw Bone Crushers and stuff, so they probably thought I was more aggressive than I am. And like I said, if it was actual blue-white control, then yes, I am the aggressor. I understand. I still don't think Timely is a good card in the matchup, but them being Stoneblade makes Timely less good in the matchup. And like, it makes them more of the aggressor than me, or like both of us kind of, we're control decks with, like, I've got Bone Crushers, they've got Stoneforges, we have aggressive pieces to it. But I don't think they should have brought them in, but they ended up being good because we did try to burn them out. And after the first Timely, it was bad. The second time, we were way far behind. But also, I attacked with the Grand Abolisher, and in my head, I'm like, I attack, if they double block, I get to Helix and punish them. There was also a line, this is something I kind of have an issue with sometimes. I saw 2 clear lines that were beneficial to me. There was the line to not attack with the Abolisher, because it was keeping their counter magic turned off, and it was, it's my blue hate, and I was versing a blue deck, so I should prioritize keeping alive. But I saw I felt like they were vulnerable and wanted to kind of attack them, even though they just gained 6 from a timely and were at like, I want to say like 17 or something. They weren't even close to dead. But yeah, I saw the line of not attacking with the Abolisher or of using Gideon to fog one of their soldiers. So when I attack, if they block with the other two, I get to Helix one and the Abolisher kills one. So it kind of pushes into like clearing their board, which is pretty good. I get to clear two of their tokens, and then the other one I can just attack again and they'll have to chump block. But instead, I decided to see if my opponent would make the worst play possible and only block with 2 tokens. Like, the only reason to only block 2 of their soldier tokens on the Abolisher was if they wanted to chump block the Gideon with one, but they were at 17, so why would they be chump blocking? Like, if they're blocking... If 2 are blocking the Abolisher and the last one isn't chump blocking the Gideon, then the last one 100% is teaming up and helping triple block that Abolisher to prevent the combat trick of like helixing one or whatever, which was exactly what happened. And my opponent played it 100% right. I messed up. I should never have put myself into that position. But yeah, the Grand Abolishers actually felt pretty alright. Like, the game against the Stoneblade deck where we played them, they felt really, really good. I don't hate that they're a creature because they got to start getting in for damage, which meant, like I said, they brought in timelies and they shouldn't have, but it worked out well because we were actually looking like a very aggressive deck. Then we had Grand Abolish stopping them casting things and beating in for 2. We had, Gideon beating in for 4. And we've got Bone Crushers to stomp and then become 4/3s. Like, we never saw Hazard at this league, which is unfortunate. But yeah, Grand Abolishers I think did well. I'm willing to test it again. What I am going to change back for next week's league is we're going to put the Rugged Prairies back in. We are going to cut the Sunbaked Canyons. I think the draw card's not that good. Like I've said before, I like being on 25 lands with this deck, or I have liked it recently. The fact that we're on 24 is a little low for me, so I don't really want to be popping my land to draw a card. I would actually prefer the cycling lands be back in here instead. But yeah, the damage I took off them ended up being super relevant in that one game in particular, and so it was very bad for us in that last game we had. And the times where I've cracked it to draw a card, it honestly hasn't been impressive. Like, I'd rather have, Needle Spires be my way to get around Flood. Is like, if I don't have him Blood Mooned, then I have this 2/1 double strike that I can use. Or just having extra cards discarded to Nahiri or Hazard or whatever. I think, yeah, the Sunbaked Canyon proved itself to be more negative than positive, I think. So we're going to test the Rugged Prairie again, see how it feels. If the Rugged Prairie feels bad, then we'll test Sunbaked Canyon again. The other thing that came up was, finally, we got punished for having Gemstone Caverns in our mana base. This is why I don't like running more than one, because, finding the Gemstone Caverns and, seeing a hand that's like, I don't know, not even Mountain, like Temple of Triumph, Gemstone Caverns, and Plains or something. If these are the 3 lands we find, and then we can't cast Anger, then we draw another Plains, we can't cast Chandra, or even put them away. Even what happened there, where I had Gemstone Caverns and a dual land, and I couldn't cast my Lightning Helix. This is why, yeah, some lists are on 2 of these. I cut mine altogether at one point. I think the first one is defensible. Rugged Prairie makes it better. I think that's kind of... I don't know that Rugged Prairie would have helped in that hand, but it feels like it would be better than not having Rugged Prairie, if that makes sense. Feels like we'll get punished for Gemstone Caverns less, and that's the first time we've been punished for Gemstone Caverns, and it has come up in hands where we're on the draw and let us cheat into a turn 1 Chalice or a turn 2 Blood Moon or a turn 1 Blood Moon or whatever. So I think I like keeping it for now. Yeah, with that said, everything else seemed pretty good. The rest, the spell base, I'm pretty happy to just keep testing this. Spyglasses were good, Demispheres were good, the Wedhead's good, could see wanting a second copy, but not until I make room by cutting this slot altogether. And Grand Abolisher did well enough that I'm happy to keep testing it, so let me know what you thought in the comments. whether you thought Rugged Prairie should come back in over Sunbaked Canyon, whether I should be cutting my Gemstone Caverns, whether Grand Abolisher is worth the slot. I honestly think because of Uro decks, my 6-mana Chandra isn't what it's meant to be in the blue matchups. When I added them to the deck, the blue matchup we were trying to fight was basically blue-white control, and Chandra is insane in that. Like, could you imagine if we'd had it in even some of those Stoneblade games, like the game where I was just waiting to cast Emrakul? Like, that's basically what Chandra does, but she comes down sooner. Yeah, so I think Great Abolisher is definitely doing a better job, and like it being able to come down on turn 2 is really good. The one issue is we can't Simian into it, which I could see being an issue, but Rugged Prairie lets the Simian into it again. That's another thing. Like, the double white requirement here makes me want this again, so we'll test this next week. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, any of that crap. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-zy.